Okay, first of all, let's pay homage to the Supreme Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May the Noble Triple Being bless all of you. Today we are going to start yet another discussion on, as we've discussed before, the factors of enlightenment. So today what we are going to talk about is the 4 establishments of mindfulness that we all know. In the teachings of the Buddha, it is very, very important to develop the mindfulness. In the teachings, it is said that the sati pana sabbatta balavati hoti. Mindfulness is very important in every occasion. So if we do not practice or develop mindfulness, the tendency about our mind is always to lean towards unwholesome thoughts. So we need to put some special efforts to develop sati or mindfulness. In order to develop mindfulness, that we have to have some understanding, pretty good understanding about what is mindfulness and what is the importance of developing mindfulness and how we should develop mindfulness. So today we are going to learn about the importance of the mindfulness and some of the advices to how to practice, how to develop, how to improve our mindfulness. So we are going to discuss the book, page number 26, the 4 establishments of mindfulness. There are 4 establishments of mindfulness. They are the establishments of mindfulness of body as body, the establishment of mindfulness of feelings as feelings, the establishment of mindfulness of mind as mind, the establishment of mindfulness of mental objects as mental objects. So these are the 4-fold establishments of mindfulness. Satara Satipatthana. There is a Pali paragraph about that. Chattaro Satipatthana, Kayanupassana Satipatthana, Vedananupassana Satipatthana, Chittanupassana Satipatthana, Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. These are the 4-fold methods of mindfulness. In the term Satipatthana, here sati is a name for attention. Mindfulness, patthana, means establishments. It is just like something well-grounded, without rolling, like the rolling of a ball on a slope. Mindfulness, that which is well established on objects such as body without being distracted, is called establishments of mindfulness. Mindfulness, that which is well established on an object as the body itself, is establishments of mindfulness. There are more meanings as well, but they are not relevant to the subject of the factors of enlightenment. Mindfulness, though it appears as one, is actually 4-fold. In accordance with the places where it is to be established, like body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Therefore, they are called 4 establishments of mindfulness. So, sati patthana, there are 2 words. Literal meaning is establishments of the mindfulness. But Patthana means establishments, establish. The sati means the mindfulness. So there are four objects here, or the subjects here, to develop the mindfulness. The Kayanupassana, then Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana. So these are the four objects, subjects of mindfulness. The establishment of mindfulness of body, as body means mindfulness merged with wisdom that observes different bodies, like breath as impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and soullessness, and not taking the cluster of form called body as being permanent, happiness, or comfort, and an individual or soul or a self. So when you develop the satipatthana, or the mindfulness, only then you can discern the universal natures of the ultimate realities that I think you all know about these characteristic, as mentioned here, the impermanence, anicca, then the unsatisfactoriness, the dukkha, soullessness, which means anatta. When you develop mindfulness, it helps us to discern or understand these true universal natures of all the conditioned things. The establishment of mindfulness of feelings, as feelings means mindfulness merged with knowledge that observes feeling as impermanent, unsatisfactoriness, and soulless, and the 9 kinds of feelings as they really are without taking them as self. The establishment of mindfulness of mind as mind means mindfulness merged with knowledge, that which observes mind as impermanent, unsatisfactory, and soulless, and without taking the 16 types of mind, such as mind affected by lust, as lust, and so forth, as self, but as just mind. So in the Satipatthana Sutta, explains 16 types of chittas. As we studied in Abhidhamma, there are 89 chittas, but here in the sutras, in the discourses, it explains as 16 types of chittas. So when we develop mindfulness, that we have to discern the chittas as chittas, and they are the universal natures, the impermanent, unsatisfactoriness, and soulless, which means anicca, dukkha, anatta. The establishment of mindfulness of mental objects as mental objects means mindfulness merged with knowledge that which observes things like hindrances as they are without grasping them as self or soul, but their nature of arising and ceasing. Is Dhammanupassana. Dhammanupassana has 5 subjects. Nivarana is one of them. Here I think only explain about Nivarana. What is to be done by seekers of Nibbana is to start their meditation with the establishment of mindfulness as a primary action. Establishment of mindfulness is the path to Nibbana. Therefore, the Buddha said, O monks, this is the only direct way for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for reaching of the path, for the realization of Nibbana. That is the 4 establishments of mindfulness. In Pali, it goes, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo sattanam visuddhya. Soka pariddanam samatikkamaya, dukkha domanassanam attangamaya, ඥායස්ස අධිගමාය නිබ්බානස්ස සච්චි කිරියාය යදිදං චත්තාරෝ සතිපට්ඨානා. The world is filled with various kinds of objects that are attractive and tantalizing, that they mesmerize the minds of beings. The mind of the ordinary person that has not been guarded, tamed, or controlled by meditation has been descending from immemorial and indiscernible beginning of samsara by wandering and grasping pleasurable objects from one to another and with unwholesomeness. Supreme knowledge mentioned earlier is to be gained by calming one's mind and searching and understanding the real nature of things, like the aggregates over a long period of time. It is impossible to calm this mind focusing to one particular object and one action for a long time because it has been distracted with various kinds of objects throughout the samsara. It is impossible even for several minutes. It flits from one object to another. For such a person cannot even respect the Buddha by recollecting the qualities of the Buddha or listening to the Dhamma for a few minutes. When one starts to respect the Buddha, his mind shifts to another object. While listening to a Dhamma talk, his mind shifts to another. Nothing more needs to be said about flickering in the mind when one starts to reflect on a deep Dhamma, like contemplating on aggregates. The mind that has not been tamed, controlled by meditation, is like a wild bull. So here it explains about the ordinary person's the mentality, the mind. Those who have tried to practice meditation can experience this, how it is difficult to keep the mind to a certain object for some time. It is incredibly difficult at the beginning. It always go here and there, as mentioned here. When someone try to practice or pay the homage to the Buddha, like chanting, doing Buddha puja or something like, then listening to Dhamma talk, still mind goes to some different objects. So it is very difficult to develop mindfulness for a worldly person. So it is almost like a wild bull. It is very difficult to get the work done from a wild bull. It must be a tamed one to get the work done. Like that, the mind is also uncontrolled or untamed mind is the same. So that is why it is important and vital to develop the mindfulness to go forward in the Buddhist spiritual path. Only then that we can contemplate about aggregates, panchaskandha, about their true nature and the elements and sense bases and all these that we can do easily when we practice mindfulness. Suppose a wild bull that has not been tamed to draw a cart when used for the first time. It will not behave in the proper way. Instead, it will try to run away whenever, wherever possible. The untamed mind is the same when engaged in a wholesome action or analyzing or investigating the aggregates, etc. It is because of not taming the mind, many people cannot either listen to or learn the Dhamma or engage in meditation and meritorious deeds. The person who has not tamed the mind does not go forward to manage, to merge into the path to Nibbana. Instead, turns away from it. Therefore, the person who wishes to be released from samsaric suffering should start to tame this untamed mind, which bewilderedly roams among many objects and immerses in unwholesome things in samsara. It is impossible to gain Nibbana without doing this. The best method for the taming of the mind is the establishment of mindfulness. That is why everyone needs it. When cultivating the establishment of mindfulness, this mind becomes tamed, calmed, just like the wild bull, when captured and tamed, can be used for anything. When the mind is developed and cultivated using the establishment of mindfulness, it can be used for any wholesome action, for any length of time. This also means that it can be kept on one object for hours and hours, as a tame bull can be directed along the proper road. The tame mind can be directed along the path to Nibbana. Therefore, the wise who wish to be free from suffering and attain Nibbana may engage in practicing the establishment of mindfulness and tame their minds. So it is explaining about the importance of developing the mindfulness. So without developing mindfulness, it is impossible to practice the Buddhist spiritual path. So that is what explained here. The establishment of mindfulness of body as body. Among the four establishments of mindfulness, the establishment of mindfulness of body as body is what is practiced by many practitioners, and it is also a more convenient one for meditation. Therefore, those who start meditation should start with the establishment of mindfulness of body as body. What is called the establishment of mindfulness is the development of mindfulness that could be maintained at least for half or a quarter of an hour on one particular object, such as mindfulness of breathing, as intended by the practitioners. It is true that at the beginning, the mind quickly runs away from the object of meditation. The mind that has wandered away from the object should be brought again and again to the same object for training. Then gradually it develops mindfulness. Longer the period that the practitioner can maintain mindfulness on the object, the better the mind can be kept on objects like breathing. The developed mindfulness brings the object such as breathing to the practitioner's mind again and again. It does not allow the mind to go away from it. It is the developed mindfulness that can be kept for a long time on the desired object. What is called meditation on the establishment of mindfulness is development of mindfulness up to that level. Mindfulness, which is developed through the bodies like breathing, is called the establishment of mindfulness of body as body. Of the four establishments of mindfulness practicing, one establishment of mindfulness itself is enough for this attainment of enlightenment. Once an establishment of mindfulness is developed, it is as if the other three are also developed. Therefore, only the establishment of mindfulness of body as body is briefly explained here. In the great discourse of establishment of mindfulness, 14 methods of practicing mindfulness of body as body have been taught. They are the contemplation of breathing, the contemplation on postures like walking, the contemplation on the four clear comprehensions, The contemplation on repulsiveness of body, the contemplation on elements, and the 9 charnel ground contemplation. Among these 14 also, many practitioners practice only the mindfulness of breathing, contemplation on repulsiveness, and the contemplation on elements. Of these 3, what is called the contemplation on elements is given in our book named Vidarshana Bhavana Kramaya, the method of practicing Vipassana. So in the Satipatthana Sutta, there are 14 methods of practicing mindfulness. So here, the Venerable Bhante is going to explain about quite detail this Kayanupassana meditation or the Anapanasati. And Venerable Bhante says that if one mindfulness or establishment of mindfulness method develop, which means the other 3 also develop. As we discussed before, there are 4 main establishments of mindfulness. So here in detail, explain about Kayanupassana Satipatthana. So the Anapanasati Bhavana is also included in the Kayanupassana meditation. Anapanasati meditation, mindfulness of breathing. Ana is a name for in-birth. Apana is out breath. With the combination of these 2 terms, it is called Anapana, the mindfulness focused on in-breath and out-breath, in-breath and out-breath, is the mindfulness of breathing, Anapanasati. Maintaining and developing the same mindfulness again and again on the same object is meditation. On mindfulness of breathing, all supremely enlightened ones attain the Buddhahood based on mindfulness of breathing. Both the number of silent Buddhas and the Arahantas who attain enlightenment by practicing mindfulness of breathing are incalculable. This is how the Buddha has praised this concentration on mindfulness of breathing. So all the Buddhas, it is said that all the Buddhas practice this Anapanasati or the mindfulness of breathing to attain the supreme enlightenment. So because of that, it is called Mahapurisa Bhavana. It is not mentioned here specifically. And so it is called Mahapurisa Bhavana because this specific method of meditation is practiced by the Mahapurusas, the great beings like the Mahabodhisattvas and the silent Buddhas as well and Arahantas as well. So here it says that those who have attained higher attainments or the final attainments by practicing this meditation method is incalculable in the long samsara. So here the Buddha has praised this meditation method. Monks, this concentration by mindfulness of breathing, when developed and cultivated, is peaceful and sublime, and ambrosial, pleasant dwelling, and it disperses and quells right on the spot evil, unwholesome states whenever they arise. Ayampiko bhikkhave anapana sati samadhi bhavito bahulikato santoceva panito cha asevanako cha sukho cha viharo uppanuppanne cha papake akusale dhamme tahanaso antaradhapeti upasamiti. For those who have developed this meditation method quite well, so they can experience the peacefulness of the mind, and Whenever the unwholesome thoughts arise, they can dispel them, they can eliminate them. So that is what it says about this great meditation method. The wise person who would like to practice this meditation should know first what is in-breath and out-breath, which means inhale and exhale. The end of the nose is white, however, it may be slightly 1 inch. Just above is a small hole. The current of breath that comes through that nostril is just like a jet of water that injects from any vessel that is full of water. In those who have long noses, the current of breath passes through by touching the inside of the end of the nose. This is more evident for those whose nose is a bit bent from the tip of the nose. When the nose is not curved, the breath only touches it slightly. Therefore, those whose nose is not curved need to be more attentive and investigative to understand the breath. When the nose is short and the nostrils are wide, the flow of breath does not touch the nostrils, but it can be discerned at the end of the upper lip. This too depends on one's anatomy of the nose and lips. For some, it is clear, and for some, it is not. So here what explains is that someone who wants to practice this Anapana meditation or the mindfulness of breathing has to examine attentively where the breathing touches or inhale or exhale. Specifically, I mentioned exhale. So one has to find where the breath touches or tip of the nose or the upper lip. So then he has to develop the mindfulness based on where the air or the breath touches. First, this touching point of the current of breath should be investigated and understood by inhaling and exhaling deeply by every practitioner. Those who have not practiced mindfulness of breathing, touching point can be understood only by breathing breathing in and breathing out deeply. Once you understand the touching point by breathing in and breathing out deeply, even the shallow breath could be understood. If you are going to take deep breaths constantly in order to understand the touching point, no sooner you will be exhausted and become fed up of your meditation. Therefore, before coming to the real meditation, one has to train oneself to understand the nostril, a natural breath. When you are skilled enough to catch the natural breath, you would be able to meditate confidently. So here it says that one who wants to practice meditation, yes, has to understand or to catch the touching point of the breath. So first he can find it by deep breath, practicing deep inhale and exhale, then he can find out. But it's not supposed to practice for a long time like that. After finding where the air or the breath touches, that he has to practice softly. Then he can develop the mindfulness on breathing quite well. Though the breath is entering the nose along single passage and enters the lungs dividedly, the practitioner understands it as one current of breath that descends to the navel and then ascends from it. The purpose of meditation is not finding the true way of inhaling and exhaling of breath, but unification of mind. Therefore, as understood, as understood by the mind, it is to be considered as one current, that which is descending to the navel. The air never goes equally through both nostrils constantly. One of them is always blocked while the other is functioning. Occasionally, air flows through both nostrils equally, but it is only occasional. If one needs to know this further, it is better to understand from books or the arts of pipe instruments. When practicing, if you feel that there are two currents of breath through both nostrils separately, it is better to observe them in this way. If it is like one current, then observe as one. The person who has understood the touching point of in-breath and out-breath should go to a suitable place for his meditation and start to practice. The suitable place for meditation is the place where there is silence, fresh air, and no mosquitoes. Noise is a disturbance for concentration. Therefore, the noisy places are not conducive to meditation. A place totally free from noise cannot be found anywhere in the world today. Therefore, the place where there is less noise should be considered as a suitable place for concentration. Flies and mosquitoes are more disturbing for concentration than noise. One cannot gain concentration through meditation by driving away flies and mosquitoes. Therefore, if the place is full of mosquitoes and flies, one has to drive them away using some kind of repellents like smoke or using a mosquito net prior to meditation. Polluted air means air with a disgusting odor, unpleasant odor. When practicing mindfulness of breathing, unlike at other times, even a slight smell is sensed. That is why one has to find a proper place if is free from polluted air, because that itself is a disturbance for one's concentration. In the cities where there are many houses, bad smells can be a problem for meditation. In such places, the stench is present all day. The stench is present all day. But those who do not practice meditation cannot understand this. Where there are fewer houses, the air is relatively fresh. In such places, there is no such smell. Likewise, one's body and belongings should also be kept clean. Sometimes body odors become more noticeable during meditation, and it is beneficial if there is some kind of pleasant smell around the place where you are meditating. As the practitioners state, for this meditation, sitting on a piece of skin is very good. They further say, among the hides, the hide of deer or leopard is the best. It is true that we come across in books that even in ancient times, the practitioners have used a piece of hide to practice meditation. According to some sources, even the Buddha had used a piece of hide. In the Visuddhimagga, it is said, Evaṁ anupahattena ana tasmin natena bhikkhuna uttayasana chammakandam pappo tetta gantabba. It says that in early days, practicing monks have also used a piece of hide. Perhaps it has been used by them because of some benefits of the hide. but there is no formal rule that one should practice meditation on a piece of hide, nor do we know of any particular benefit of using a piece of hide. This is to be investigated by practitioners. Again, there is some opinions that sitting on the floor rather than anything higher is better for meditation. This itself needs to be investigated. Having approached a suitable place, sitting crossed legs, keeping the body erect, and doing the preparatory steps, such as recollecting the qualities of the triple gem, one should start to practice meditation. The preparatory steps of meditation can be learned from our book Vidarshana Bhavana Krama, the method of insight meditation. Sitting cross-legged is twofold. Sitting like the statue of the Buddha, keeping the feet of two thighs, is called lotus posture, an excellent position in sitting yoga. But everyone is not skillful enough to sit in the lotus posture. They may sit keeping the feet under the thigh. Those who cannot sit in either one of these postures may use the seat, which is not high, and keep the feet on the floor and the body erect. The method may particularly be suit women too. The half lotus position, which involves folding the 2 feet backwards, is also suitable for women. When mindfulness of breathing is practiced and cultivated as described, it is conducive to the development of concentration and knowledge. It dissipates the hindrances like sense desire. Because of development of concentration and wisdom and the dissipation of hindrances, one day the practitioner will experience the countersign of mindfulness of breathing. So countersign means the patibhaga nimitta. When someone practice the mindfulness, then we know that the hindrances that we can reduce. So the mindfulness, when the mindfulness develop to some certain extent, the meditation or the practitioner can experience this specific object, which is called patibhaga nimitta, or the countersign. Then with continuous practice of breath meditation, the practitioner will be able to understand it better and more easily and clearly. That experience is called patibhaga nimitta, countersign. This experience is not in breath or out breath or something obvious. It is an extremely pleasant and soothing color, which has never been seen by him or her in the world before. Great rapture arises in him or her because of pleasantness of the object. However, this pulsation of rapture might disappear instantly. Unlike the device sign, kasina nimitta, the sign of mindfulness of breathing is not experienced by all equally. This experience varies according to the physical nature of the body and opinion of the practitioner. In accordance with the path of purification, Visuddhimagga, practitioners may experience it differently. As a star, a gem, a cluster of pearls, a strand of coarse wool of cotton, a wooden stick, a thread, a garland smoke, a cobweb, a cloud, a lotus, a wheel, the sun or the moon. Though it is mentioned that it would appear like stars, one should not expect signs exactly like a star or any of the other examples provided above. We are not skillful enough to give perfect descriptions of these signs. these signs. These are to be understood by each individual practitioner. If the practitioner experiences any sign, this itself should be understood as whatever hindrances in him her have been subdued, defilements have been dissipated, mindfulness has been developed, and the access concentration has been achieved. So here what explains is when the meditation develops, this specific signs can be seen by the practitioner. That is called Patibhaga Nimitta. It is a sign of development of the meditation. And it appears when the defilements subdued or reduce. So it is said that one who gets this object, the Patibhaga Nimitta, the counter sign, he has to develop it and maintain it without losing it. It is not that easy to gain the counter sign, this counter sign, the Patibhaga Nimitta. By the same token, after gaining it, if it is not properly guarded, it vanishes immediately, and it is not easy to regain. Therefore, a person who has gained the sign should continue in the posture to try to achieve jhana. If he or she cannot gain jhana at the time, he should protect the sign with full of love and care as if protecting a valuable gem. If he spends much time on other activities, the sign will be lost. Therefore, having abandoned all other things, activities and unsuitable persons, one should seek good association and practice meditation as long as possible. So when someone gets a patibhaga nimitta, he has to maintain it like most valuable thing. So if he does some other activities, it can be lost quite easily. So he has to practice the mindfulness meditation again and again without being lost this counter sign. Only then that he can attain jhanas. When practicing mindfulness of breathing, there are many discrepancies. Breathing in is one thing, and breathing out is another. Among them also there is long, short, gross, subtle, and so on and so forth. Too much of it itself is an obstruction for the arising of jhana. There is no diversity of countersigns to be experienced. There is only one shape of the sign that is gained by each person. Since there is no diversity, jhana can be achieved. Therefore, in order to gain jhana, countersign is a must. The practitioner who gain countersign should not practice mindfulness of breathing. He has to give full attention to the sign as if he is looking at a certain object through his eyes, and should live establishing the mind on the object. That is meditation he has to practice. So when he gets this specific stage or specific nimitta called patibhaga nimitta, then he has to focus on this specific object, patibhaga nimitta, and only then that he can attain jhanas. If the sign vanishes, then the mind is to be focused on the breath. While practicing mindfulness of breathing, the sign will reappear. It is to be clearly understood that it is not a view through the eye. If jhana is not gained while the mind is being focused to the counter sign, tenfold skill of deep practice arpana should be applied. There are many things to be followed after experiencing the counter sign. Those are to be learned from the books such as The Path of Purification, Visuddhimagga, or from teachers. While the mind is well focused on the counter sign and the faculties are matured enough, and the other factors are also completed, then there arises the first jhana, which is accompanied by 5 factors: applied thoughts, sustained thoughts, rapture, happiness, and the one-pointedness or the singleness of mind. Vitakka, vichara, pita, sukha, ekagata, those are the jhana factors which is mentioned here. Further, progress leads to the second jhana, third jhana, and the fourth jhana. Attaining the jhana up to the fourth is a culmination of developing mindfulness, of breathing, and the serenity meditation, a method of meditation. So this Satipatthana Bhavana, or particularly here, the Anapanasati Bhavana, the culmination is the fourth jhana. So it is not easy to attain fourth jhana. So he has to, the practitioner has to develop this meditation with tremendous effort, and firstly gain the counter sign, Patibhaga Nimitta. Then without losing it, he has to practice again the mindfulness meditation until he gains the jhanas. So gradually, when he gets the first jhana, he has to master the jhana. Then he can attain the other jhanas as well, respectively. The person who has developed a jhana and maintains it can be reborn in the Brahma realm as a result of the power of this mental state. That is also one of the ways to attain Nibbana. The lifespan of the Brahma realm is very long and measured in eons. This is an extremely long period of time and impossible to count in years. So as we know that when one gets jhanas, if we do not lose the jhana, and when he pass away without losing the jhanas, that he can get his rebirth. He can be born in Brahma realms according to the level of the jhanas. And the lifespan of the Brahmas is very, very long, as mentioned here. It is not mentioned, it is not counting years. It is counted in eons, kalpas. So they are, the Brahmas have very, very long period of lifespans. So the Venerable Bhante suggests that being born in the Brahma realm is one of the best ways to attain the higher attainments today. According to the commentary of this of the discourse on the settings of the motion of the wheel of the Dhamma, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the 18 cores of Brahmas gain the state of stream enter and attain enlightenment. In many places of the scriptures, we came across the references to many Brahmas who gain the state of path and fruition and attain enlightenment. In accordance with the lifespan of Brahmas, the 2,500 years that we have passed from the passing away of the Buddha is a very short time. This means that the Brahmas who gained the state of the path and fruition in the time of the Buddha are still living there in the Brahma world. Unlike the Devas and humans in the sensual spheres, who always delight in pleasures of food, drink, songs, and dance, the Brahmas lead life with jhanic bliss. Concentration is a cause of arousing as well as developing and sharpening of wisdom. Brahmas who have concentration of jhanas have sharp wisdom. Therefore, if they have a chance to listen to the Dhamma, they would be able to realize Nibbana very easily and swiftly. Beings in the Brahma realm can listen to the pure Dhamma from Brahmas who have seen and listen to the Buddha and thereby attain Nibbana by developing insights and gain path and fruition. So it is suggested that being born in Brahma realm is free from the hindrances, the nivaranas. So the Brahmas do not have nivaranas. They always enjoy the jhanic bliss. So their wisdom is very sharp. So the Brahmas can easily understand the Dhamma because there are Brahmas who have attained the higher attainments, and it is not for a long time for the Brahmas after seeing the Buddhas like us, like humans. It is for a very, very short time for them. So one who gets rebirth in the Brahma realm, he can listen to those who attain the higher attainments, the Brahmas, and it is much easier to attain the Nibbana. At this time, in the human realm, there is no person who has seen the Buddha and listened to the Buddha. Even seeking a person who has followed the Dhamma and live the life accordingly is also not easy, not that easy. The Dhamma that we have today is a Dhamma that was disseminated through from several generations. The Dhamma among the persons who have seen, listened, and realized directly from the Buddha is the pristine, pure Dhamma. Therefore, it is to be said that it is the best and the most reliable method in this time to be reborn in the Brahma realm and listen to the Dhamma and realize the Dhamma in the Brahma world. For those who are expecting to see the Metteya Buddha and attain Nibbana, also the unmistakable way is developing jhana and be reborn in the Brahma realm. If one is reborn there, one can live there until the Metteya Buddha will be born in the world. The time until the birth of Metteya Buddha is very long. That is quite incalculable by years. Even one is reborn 1,000 or 10,000 times, completing the full lifespan in the realm of Paranimita Vasavatti, which has the longest lifespan among the sensual sphere of heaven. The time of the birth of the Buddha Metteya has not yet been reached. It is still to be expected. Today, for those who pledge for the Buddha Metteya to be born in the sensual sphere, that time that they will have to be reborn would perhaps exceed more than millions. Who can predict what would happen to them during this time? Sometimes having done evil deeds in samsara, when the Buddha Metteya would be born in the world, most of them might be still suffering in the hells. If they will have to stay in the hells at the time of the birth of the Buddha Metteya, they will never get the chance to see the Buddha. Even they see the Buddha, they cannot attain enlightenment. Thus, that dispensation of the Buddha also would be a fruitless one for them. If one were reborn in the Brahma realm, it would never happen. Therefore, it is to be stated that the excellent way to seeing the Buddha Metteya and attain Nibbana is also developing jhanas, and be reborn in the Brahma world. Gaining jhana, one can be reborn in the Brahma realm, but be unable to attain Nibbana. Attainment of Nibbana by release from samsaric suffering is only through gaining the supra-mundane paths and fruitions. Those can be gained only through vipassana meditation. Mindfulness of breathing is a concentration meditation. Either through practicing mindfulness of breathing or any other method, if one would gain serenity, that will definitely be a foundation for the practicing of insight, vipassana. Therefore, many practitioners develop concentration first and then develop insight. One who has developed concentration through mindfulness of breathing has gained foundation to practice insight. That practitioner should not stop there, but switch his meditation to insight, so that he would be able to gain supra-mundane paths and fruitions. So these two methods of meditation, concentration meditation and insight meditation. So insight meditation is specific in the teachings of the Buddha, that as we know in the Buddha's time, there were so many other ascetics who had gained jhanas, but they had not any idea about insight meditation. So only one can attain the Nibbana by practicing this insight meditation. So it is the foundation. If someone gets jhanas or develop the mindfulness up to jhanas, it is the best foundation to practice insight meditation. So when the hindrances and the defilements is less, it is easy to practice the insight meditation, to see the true nature of the ultimate realities. The true nature of the ultimate realities or the universal natures is, as mentioned before, the common characteristics: anicca, dukkha, anatta. So one can gain this understanding by practicing the insight meditation. And the best way to practice insight meditation after gaining jhanas. But still, if it is difficult, that someone can practice one can practice both methods of the meditation and gain the jhana. So as mentioned before, so the Venerable Bhante here suggests that one can easily gain the Nibbana by practicing jhana and after getting the rebirth in the Brahma realms. So even those who wants to attain the Dhamma or the higher attainment in the Mettaya Buddha Sasana, so it is also can be fruitful to be born in the Brahma realms. Otherwise, there's more probability to miss the Mettaya Buddha if one could not gain the jhanas. So the next week that we can discuss how to practice insight meditation by practicing mindfulness or the breathing meditation. So now we have the time to discuss or any questions or any suggestions or anything.
Bhante, what is the contemplation on the four clear comprehensions?
It is called Chatudhatu Vavattana. It is also a method of mindfulness meditation. It is included in the Satipatthana Sutra. So here, the other methods of meditation is not explained in detail. So as we discussed, there are 14 methods. It is also one of the methods of mindfulness meditation.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no any questions or anything to discuss it, we can wind up here, and we can discuss next week about how to practice the insight meditation based on mindfulness meditation. So if you have any questions or anything to clarify, that you can add to the WhatsApp group as well, then I can try to help. Okay, then let's stop our Dhamma discussion here. So today, by discussing this, the noble Dhamma, that we all generated enormous amounts of wholesome thoughts in our hearts. So let's share these merits with our departed relatives. May our all relatives passed away accept these merits and rejoice these merits, and we gain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Let's share merits to the divine beings as well. May all the deities accept these merits and may protect all of us. Itthavata amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Itthavata amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. May all these meritorious energies that we generated right now lead us to supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Tēruā sarnai Bhante.
Tēruan saranai. Tēruan saranai.
Lots of merits to you, Venerable Bhante. Tēruan saranai.
Thank you, Tēruan saranai. May the noble triple gem bless you all.